let's talk about how white girls have made hating other white girls an extreme sport. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Mixed Feelings with Kira Bria. First of all, thank you so much for 10K on Instagram. I finally got to 10K after months of being really annoying and asking people to follow me. Thank you for that, but if you still want to, you can of course still follow me on Instagram at Kira Bria. So today, you know what's funny is whenever I come up with these like video / podcast ideas, I always have one that I think I'm gonna do, and then about like 20 minutes before I'm gonna record, something comes across my feed, on my FYP, whatever, and it gives me a different idea for something that I want to do today. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that other one next week. That's been happening for a few weeks now. But so this concept that I want to be talking about today, I got the idea or the inspiration from scrolling on TikTok today. I saw so many people talking about how much they hated Victoria Paris. And like, I will never forgive y'all for making Victoria Paris famous. But these are all white women, right? Who are saying, I will never forgive y'all. Y'all meaning other white women for making her famous. And you know, I don't really watch her content very much. I don't know much about Victoria Paris, but I do know a decent amount about white women. And I know that their internalized misogyny tends to make them do things that they don't really understand why they're doing them. And I would like to investigate that today. I would like to investigate how and why white women have made hating other white women an extreme sport. That's what I would like to talk about, because you know what? It is not just a hobby. It is not just a favorable pastime. They do take it like it's an extreme sport. They take it really far. And this is completely the reason for cheugy. The word cheugy, the inception of cheugy, and the continuous use today. So here's the thing, when cheugy came out, right? Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw, there was like the originator of the term. She made a video on TikTok about it. It was the first time I think I saw it. And you know, I condemned the word, basically. And I was like, this is internalized misogyny in a word. Y'all know that, right? And everyone was like, yeah, you're right, we get it. Come to still be scrolling on my FYP months later, people are like really using that word. And like, you know, I watched Lauren Giraldo on YouTube. She says it sometimes and I'm like, oh, so the word fully made its way into regular popular use. Y'all let it in. Interesting, right? And it's like this whole idea, and even just the trends I see on TikTok of like both white women and white gay men like saying what white women, no, not what white women, but what girls, they just say what girls need to stop doing or what girls need to stop wearing. And it's like literally anything. It could be trendy, it could be popular, it could be pretty. It's just people decide that other women can't wear it and that it's cheugy to wear those things. And these are the same people that pretend to care about fast fashion and pretend to care about the environment. Like, you can't, this is a side tangent, but if you care about fast fashion and you care about the environment and you're trying to like, you know, ride that wave, then you cannot be out here slandering people for wearing something that was popular last month. Like, it's literally a month ago. People just need to relax on that front. But going back to the Victoria Paris thing, I'm seeing a lot, specifically today, of like Victoria Paris slander. And so I was doing a little bit of research and there's a hashtag called Victoria Paris blocked me. And then so I went to look at it and it's like a few people saying that they got blocked, but it's some people talking about how like, you know, it's none of anyone's business who she blocks, la-di-da. But I do think it's an interesting hashtag and it's an interesting sort of movement that I'm seeing going on of people really trying to like cancel Victoria Paris. And like, like I said, I really don't know a lot about the girl. I really don't. I know she does fashion stuff in New York. That is the gist of what I got. And I saw this girl on TikTok like dissecting an article about her. And from what I can tell, she seems like, what is that TikTok sound? She looks like every other bitch. Like, like, I'm just saying, she seems like a very regular girl. She seems like a very relatable, like regular white female. And so it is interesting how much outrage that brings out of the white female community. Like, it is so interesting. I'm like, she is just like you. Why do you hate her so much? Ask yourself, because like, from what I can tell about Victoria Paris, she reminds me of, you know, a lot of my friends in LA. She reminds me of, like I said, a lot of white girls give me that vibe. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it's so interesting that white women are simultaneously so able to relate to her and also the ones carrying the pitchfork to, you know, put her at the stake and light her on fire. And I'm like, don't you see the irony in the fact that the only people who hate her are the ones who are like her? Does nobody see that? Does nobody think that could be internalized misogyny and some projection? I can't be the only one who thinks this way. No way. Because you don't see black women coming on this app and being like, I will never forgive y'all for making Victoria Paris famous. And it's like, I don't, and also I have a question about this that I'm about to say. I always hesitate to call something jealousy. And I think that's because I don't know exactly why, but it's got something to do with internalized misogyny. Not even that me not wanting to call it jealousy is internalized misogyny, but maybe I've had too many experiences of girls calling other girls jealous of them for absolutely no reason. And I know that that is internalized misogyny. Does that make sense? So I hesitate to call something jealousy unless I really, really think it is. And here, I think it's a mixture of, because, okay, honestly, here's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing if I was a white woman, right? If I was a regular white female who maybe was, I mean, I think regardless, if you are similar to Victoria Paris in what you do or not, if you were just like a regular white female who maybe has different interests, maybe you don't even care about fashion, whatever. I think maybe there's a little bit resentment there for them to be seeing somebody else do pretty much what they do or what they think they can do, but getting a lot of recognition for it and getting paid for it, right? And I only really see white women doing, they also do that thing where it's like, you know, well, I'm not Addison Rae, so I guess I have to go to university, and just a lot of like bitterness. It's bitterness, and the reason I'm calling it bitterness is because y'all are white. You can do it too. Like, it's like, this isn't being gatekept from you, right? When black people talk about cultural appropriation and talk about Addison Rae not crediting black people's dances, or talk about how, of course, Victoria Paris is famous because she's white and has money to buy whatever clothes she wants and has the time to vlog her life all day, right? Those are valid points. Those are valid issues to have with a creator, but I think as a person of color watching white women whine about them in comparison to like Addison Rae and Victoria Paris, for me, I'm very much like, oh, boo-hoo. Like, go do it then. You don't have a barrier. Like, I don't have sympathy for somebody who has the complete capability to do what these white girls are doing and have instant success and fame. Okay, go do it then. You're white and pretty. Why are you whining? Like, it's so weird to me how on my FYP I see like blonde, white, pretty girls being like, well, I'm not Addison Rae, so I guess I have to go to law school. Bitch, start dancing. Like, why are you whining to me? Why are you whining to me who has done the work and gets my videos taken down every day? Why are you whining to me? I don't care. I don't have sympathy for you. If you haven't done what they are doing, that is completely on you. That's not on your skin color. That's not on your gender. That's not on your sexuality. That's on you. So I don't have empathy or sympathy. Well, I always have empathy because I'm an empath and I'm a Pisces, whatever. But I have a hard time conjuring up, cultivating the sympathy that I think these white women want when they do make these TikToks of like, oh, boo-hoo, I have to go to school. You have the privilege to go to university, A. B, you have the money to go to university. You have the look to do what the girl you're whining about has already done. So why are you complaining? Is anybody else confused by that? I personally am very confused. And I don't know if it's like in their head there's not enough spaces at the top, whatever it may be, but it's like if you are a white woman, especially an attractive white woman, I don't want to see you on my FYP complaining about why you haven't done anything that another influencer has done, because you have complete capability of doing so. And there are people on the app who are super creative and that is their first thing that they want to do, and they are encountering barriers because of racism or something that is legitimate other than whatever reason you're coming up, like it's just whatever. But it's interesting how it always turns to let me take down somebody else. Let me say, I will never forgive y'all for making Victoria Paris famous. Instead of just, if you are jealous that she is famous for doing what you perceive to be the bare minimum and you are not doing that, start doing it and then come talk to me, right? But don't say, oh, I will never forgive you. It's giving internalized misogyny. It really is, because, and I think it's worthy to note that no other demographic does this in the way that white women do. This whole, you know, I can't believe you made this person famous, or just slandering people in their demographic. Like no other demographic slanders their demographic the way white women slander their own. But we also don't come up with divisive words like chuggy to assist us in bringing down other people of our kind. Right? And so it really is a very specific aspect of like white female culture that I'm curious about. Like what is up with that? What is the necessity to compare yourself to those like you, but also to resent them and to act like it's their fault? Or I don't know, it's just, it's giving bitter for no reason, because y'all are not the ones to be bitter. Like if somebody's gonna be bitter, it should be somebody with a valid reason why, like, or a valid barrier between where they are and where they wanna be / where the person they're talking about is, right? Because if you're talking about, like I said, if you're using these examples of like Addison Rae, Charli D'Amelio, Victoria Paris, you're talking about, you know, thin white women who found easy success. Now that is not inherently a bad thing, right? And for me, as somebody who is not white, to recognize that before a lot of white women, that already tells me something, right? That already tells me something about there's barriers to, or there's a little bit of delusion going on in like the mentality towards hating these women, right? Because I can recognize that, yeah, of course, their success was very much facilitated by the body that they're in, right? But I also know as a creator that creating is work, right? And so for me to have those barriers of skin color and body size, to be honest, like I would say I'm not a thin white woman by any means, you know what I mean? I know some people on TikTok say that I'm thin, but I also know that TikTok is like, TikTok isn't real in the sense that people will have takes on TikTok that nobody in the real world will ever have. Not that I'm like, I'm not thin. I've never ever been thin. First of all, I'm literally a curve model. So I'm literally a size like 14. But in addition to that, I weigh a lot, and because I have big muscles and I'm wide, and I also, like, I used to weigh a lot more than I do now. Like right now, I'm like 50 pounds less than my heaviest weight, right? And I think people also don't conceptualize that people have been different weights within their life. In real life, nobody is calling me thin. For me, as somebody who is not your stereotypical thin, like actually thin person, like thin to me means like size small, maybe medium, like you're going between those. There's a lot of people out there who literally wear extra small, but because we're looking at everything on a phone, maybe you think that my portions aren't like that much bigger than them. If they're like, I'm thinking of this fitness influencer that I follow. Her name's Gabby Shea. Like, she has a really big butt, she has big legs, right? But she's a small human being because she's like she's like 5'4", 5'5" or something, right? But she's like all muscle and bone, and she wears like an extra small, right? Now I have like more flesh on my bones and more meat on my bones in general, but I think people perceive like the image that they see on the screen. This is a full-on tangent, and I'm aware of that, just so you know. I think, but this is, it's my podcast, so I feel like I can do whatever I want, you know what I mean? People see the image on the screen and they don't understand scale, right? Because I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10". So like what you see, I think people, and a lot of people do think that I'm short for some reason. I don't know why that is, but a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, you're just a stereotypical straight size. I'm like, no, when you're 5'10" and you have curves, that means you are wide. That means you are a large to extra large. And so in this way, I've never been perceived as thin, right? And there are a lot of white women who are thin and pretty and they want to do whatever they want to do, right? So me as somebody who is not two of those things, I can already perceive and understand that yes, those things had a lot to do with their success, but those things are not their success, right? Had so much to do with it, but they still had to take action to get where they want to be. And so when I see the thin, white, pretty women on my FYP complaining about where they want to be, I'm like, you just didn't take the action. So now you're mad? Now you're mad. Because I don't have sympathy for that. Because I am not two of those things, of which you are three. And yet I have gotten, you know, part of the way to, like, I have 200K. Obviously that's not a million, but I have 200K, right? And that's just because I put in the work. My shit gets taken down half the time. But do you see me on TikTok complaining about how, not that, okay, and I don't want to say like complaining is bad. Like obviously I have been on the other end of like people saying, why are you complaining? But when I'm complaining, it's like I'm actually critically thinking. You know what I mean? I'm not just like spewing internalized misogyny and being like, wah, I have to go to law school, boo-hoo. You have money to go to law school. Count your fucking blessings. Like, come on. But I think the reason why white women behave this way, and you know, they hate on other white women like it's an extreme sport, is because of their proximity to white men and like the power that is, the power that they like literally are so close to, they're just like 1 degree removed from. So I think they view each other as competition in a way that like we don't. Do you know what I mean? In the way that I don't look at other women in my demographic, because it's like we are still so far removed from that like white male power that I'm not thinking in those terms. But I think a lot of white women still think in white male terms and don't realize it, and then they sprinkle like their feminism into it, but most of it is like internalized misogyny or like the male gaze rebranded. And then so we end up here, which is like white women hating other white women and tearing other white women down and creating words like chuggy to, you know, nitpick other white women's style and saying you can't have a side part, you can't wear skinny jeans. And it's like, I'm sorry, who are you fighting for? Like, I just am curious who you're fighting for, because it doesn't seem like you're fighting for yourself or anyone else. Because if you fight for the right to hate on your own kind, you know that's just going to come and stab you in the back, right? You know that that's a double-edged sword, right? You know that chuggy is going to be weaponized against white women when you use it against white women. Like, it's the karma concept just not tapping in for them, I guess. And it's not even about karma, like energetic karma, la-di-da. It's literally the fact that you are putting a word out into the world that is, of course, going to be used against you the most. And so why even use it in the first place? Like, who are you, what do you get from this? I think that's my biggest question for like the white women who are like hating other white women with a passion. What do you get from this? Because when you do this, you're actually just fighting for people at the top, like higher than you, right? You're fighting for the white man. If you're having all this internalized misogyny, you're spreading misogyny around, you think there's not room for more than one woman at the top, like who do you think that's benefiting? You're just tearing down other people at your level. You're benefiting people above you. And for why? And for why is my question. Because we haven't done the work on ourselves to notice it is the answer, I think. But yeah, those are my thoughts on white women hating other white women. I think you should pick a different sport. Because you know what? A lot of men already play that sport. Team's full. Find something else. Find another hobby. Thank you. Yeah, but make sure to rate this podcast a 5-star rating, share it with your friends. If you're watching this, give it a like, share it with your friends, watch all the ads a million times. If you want to help your girl out, watch them fully in completion. Yeah, follow me on IG at Kira Bria. You know where to find me. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM them to me on Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon. Bye.